dude doesn't like me for whatever reason. He wants to say I'm not black enough, I'm not good enough. He's a person who's led to part of my depression at some of my darkest spaces. And he can take that however he wants. He can take it as, oh, I'm not. And bro, your words, they may make people want to kill themselves, dog.
Yeah, I guess I understand what he's saying, but on the other side of things, you saying that is weaponizing mental health. And the reason I bring that up is because Joe Budden himself responded to this saying, Logic is reverse bullying me. And maybe people might not understand what he's saying, but he's 100% right. He's basically using, mental, because it's not like Joe Budden is telling somebody to kill themselves, right? He is probably, he has said some inflammatory things about Logic. He's told him he's the worst rapper alive. He's this, is that. But when you are a celebrity, right? For better or worse, you are part of the culture and people are free to criticize you. You kind of just have to take it. You can't control what people say about you. So, like, the fact that, you know, Logic is kind of saying, listen, bro, you've been part of my depression. Your words make people want to kill themselves. It's like, that's putting a big ass burden on somebody, right? Again, I understand what Logic is saying. It makes sense. Logic should understand. Not Logic. Joe Budden should understand that he's kind of coming at somebody with some serious, I guess, mental health issues. But it's like, you can't end it with your words make people want to kill themselves because it's putting such a big burden on it. And that's what Joe Budden means by Logic is reverse bullying me. You know what I mean? It is bullying in the other sense of like whenever like, we all don't like it with somebody or, we think it's kind of, what is it? Like not responsible whenever you say, oh, if you don't do this, I'm going to kill myself, right? This is very similar to when like you're in a relationship with a woman or with a man, doesn't matter which side, and you want to break up with them and they're like, oh, you want to break up with me? Well, if you do that, I'm going to kill myself. It's like, it's almost using that. You're weaponizing that. That's the problem. So I totally understand what Joe Budden is saying. It was like Logic is reverse bullying me. And listen, I mean that's the thing. You can't. Yeah, you just can't. It's such a tricky thing. I understand what Logic is saying. He's finally responded to Joe Budden. He didn't even watch the video where he's apologizing to Logic or where he's explaining his critique of the album. So he's gonna just assuming, like, I guess for the sake of his mental space, which I totally understand. But if you're gonna criticize somebody like Logic is doing right now, saying, "Listen, you've led to my depression. Your words make people want to kill themselves." It's like, at least try to understand the guy, you know what I mean? Because that's not what he wants. If he would have watched the video where he was talking about, where he apologizes to Logic and explains his point of view and reviews the album and gives a very good, reason as to why he doesn't like your music, which, you know, it's funny because yeah, like I remember because I never understood the hate that Joe Budden had for Logic, right? Like for the longest time, he has never really liked Logic. It all kind of started, or it all got really big when when he was like Logic is the worst rapper of all time, which he wasn't being serious. I mean, I understand a lot of people think he was being serious. Joe Budden was not being serious when he said Logic is the worst rapper of all time. This is a very funny statement. I mean, I like Logic as an artist, but I was fucking laughing. You know how many times I've rewatched that clip? That shit is so funny because it's a joke. He's not really saying that Logic is the worst rapper of all time. Obviously, there are way worse rappers. You know what I mean? If anybody took that serious, I mean, I question your moral judgment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I question your understanding of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand how anybody could think that he was being serious and genuine when he said that, but people did. So yeah, so it all started with that. So now I understand, and Peter Rosenberg, who's the person interviewing Logic that got this answer out of him, that's another person who does not like Joe Budden. Joe Budden has had beef with him too. So this whole scenario is kind of like it makes you choose sides, right? Like the Logic fans are gonna be like, yeah, Logic, tell him Joe Budden is irrelevant. You're a way better rapper than him. He does make people want to kill themselves. And then the Joe Budden fans which I guess I could be considered one, but I'm not really a Joe Budden fan. You know what I mean? I don't want to be. I'm nobody's fan. I don't pledge allegiance to anybody. I just enjoy shit that people do and then form my own opinions. But the Joe Budden fans are like, nah, Logic, your shit is trash. So it's almost like this whole thing, this whole scenario shit that's been happening doesn't really lead anywhere. Logic always uses that too. There was like, yo, you've never met me, we've never talked. How can you talk about me if we've never talked? It's like, Logic, you're a fucking celebrity. You're a famous person. Everybody, most people that are gonna talk about you will never don't haven't met you and will never meet you. So it's like, what are you saying with that? Like, oh, he's never met me to be talking trash. It's like everybody can say. That's the thing. I think a lot of people in the limelight, which I hope to be in one day, don't understand that like at a certain point where you become really big, people are just able to say whatever the fuck they want, and you can't control them. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't control people saying whatever the fuck they want about you. And you can't really get down on, I mean, I understand you have depression or whatever, and you see that, and it makes you sad. But it's like, you also kind of have to accept the fact that people are just going to be positive about you or negative, whatever it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, Logic finally responded to the Joe Budden thing, which I've been wondering. Like, I thought he was gonna even like send some bars, like maybe diss Joe Budden. You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking that was gonna happen, but I guess that never did happen. But this is the official way that he's responded. Now I'm just gonna wait to see how Joe Budden responds on the podcast. He's just gonna say, what I said. You know what I mean? Because he has actually said this in the past. Like, even when Chance did this, when Chance said, you know, when he alluded to him being suicidal because of the critique, like, Joe Budden got really angry at him because he felt like he was using it. I feel like Joe Budden might like go off on Joe Budden as well, on Logic, because of doing this. Because let's be honest, even if you're a Logic stan, listen, if any Logic stans are watching this or listening to this, listen to me. You should be able to admit that telling somebody your words make people want to kill themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't really say that. That's putting so much fucking responsibility. Like, I can't get over this. You can't do that, Logic. You can't say somebody's words make them want to kill themselves. It's possible that might be true. That might have been true for yourself, too, right? Like, who knows? He said Joe Budden's, like, words led to a lot of his depression or whatever the fuck he was saying. But it's like, you cannot say that. You can't put that burden on somebody else, especially if they're not being, like, that crazy. Granted, if Joe Budden was out here saying, listen, if you have mental issues, fucking kill yourself, motherfucker. You're a weak piece of shit. You don't deserve to live. Right? If Joe Budden says that, then it's like, okay, Joe Budden, you need to relax. But Joe Budden is just kind of criticizing and making fun of celebrities. It's not even like regular people. It's celebrities. And what does he mean by his words make people want to kill themselves? I think he was just saying that in general, but it referred to himself. But, like, who else? I mean, he's talking about celebrities. Just because Joe Budden says something negative about you, you're going to kill yourself? That doesn't make any fucking sense. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can't put that burden on somebody, unfortunately. You're weaponizing mental health, and this is exactly what Joe Budden is going to say on his podcast. But I'm telling you, that's what a rational and logical person, no pun intended, would say about this situation. Probably even Logic himself will probably admit that maybe that wording was the wrong wording. I wouldn't doubt it. It did seem like he kind of, that was like off the cuff, just randomly kind of said it. Didn't really think about those words coming out of his mouth. But that kind of burden is really big on somebody. And I appreciate the way Joe Budden is responding, because it's so funny. Logic is for sure reverse bullying him. He's for sure reverse bullying, and like in the academics like Instagram page, he just responded SMH, like shaking my head. I find that funny. That's